Neil, thanks for joining the Instrumentals of Rock podcast.
It's been too long. Great to see
Definitely.
you. You look younger than ever, right?
You too. The last time that we connected up was 1996 at the Winter NAMM show, California. You were just about to release Sing. And, listening back to that interview, it seems like we did it on the floor of the convention center because there was a fair amount of noise. But I think maybe we were in like one of the Rocktron booths. And, because you were there a lot, it seemed like.
Yeah.
With NAMM, it seems like that's an important rite of passage for up and coming artists. I mean, you had kind of been established a little bit at that point, but still you were young in your career. Was that true for you?
Yeah, that's where all the young hot guns, and I'm going to say used to go because I'm not really sure if it has the same draw as the same allurement, the same cachet as it did back then. But back then, you got to go to NAMM. You got to be a hot gun. You're playing at a booth. You're wheeling and dealing. You're like it's the place to be seen and the place to make great connections and the place to meet other players and it really I'm going to say it still might be, but I'm not sure now. But that was the place to like put your flag in the sand and say,
Hmm.
"I'm here, world. Check this out."
Yeah. And so that worked for you back then. That was an important part. You got a lot of connections out of that.
Yeah, it was really good, and it's interesting how not to go into the industry thing really early on in our interview, but it is a different thing now. Like
Hmm.
before, you would go to NAM and a company would provide you some gear, but the company provided like a service that what a record label would do. So they provided publicity for you. You'd get if it was a good deal with a company, you would get magazine ads in Guitar World and Guitar Player, Guitar for
Right.
the Practice Edition, and there would be clinics. There'd be all this like it was the hotbed, the fertile ground of all that. Whereas now, and I was saying I'm not sure if NAMM holds the same weight for guitar
Hmm.
players that it did, is now the companies want you to be the salesman. Like, okay, we'll give you a guitar, but you need to do a video every day and a video review and like so it really the tables have literally flipped, and now the players are the salespeople versus actual artists. So it's a strange it's a strange thing these days. Herman Lee, for example, a friend of mine, he does a Twitch every day at Eastern Time, 4 p.m. and he has like a the Tonight Show featuring Herman Lee, but it's every day
Right.
and he does cool things. And I think it's a great thing because now players have more of access to that if you want to dive into that sort of environment where it's you're on the treadmill every day producing
Hmm.
content, things like that.
Right.
So
So recently, I saw that you did some shows with Nelson, and what's your connection there? How far back do you all go? How did that relationship start?
um, it started well. The nucleus, ground zero was Bobby Rock. That was the common
Oh, okay.
denominator. So obviously Bobby played in Nelson, the original Nelson, and Bobby and I are brothers from decades ago. So there was an introduction through that. So I would say probably uh, '08, '09. I played with Nelson for a few years, and then they kind of put it on ice a little bit. They were working on Ricky Nelson Remembered, and they have a bunch of other projects always going on. And then this past year, I guess the singer from Steel Heart had some heart problems. He had to go under the knife, I guess. So all the Steel Heart shows were canceled on these festivals, and the booking agent called the brothers and said, "Hey, do you want to get the band back together?"
Hmm.
And they called me and like, yeah, they're great guys. The band's a ton of fun. I mean, the guys can sing, and I'm always amazed how well they sing, they play, they write. They're really like forces of nature. It's great, and it's been a great time.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, Ricky's voice was so amazing, and that doesn't always translate to, um, your kids, but apparently that did with them. So,
I know, it's people are really shocked as to how good these guys sing. And just speaking in a stereotypical way, I think back in the day, as they would always joke on stage, they look like a two hot Swedish chicks, right? And so they're like, there's no way these guys could write these songs, could sing these songs, be multi instrumentalists, and they play guitar, they sing, they play bass, that like they
hmm,
do everything. But
wow.
now I notice as we do these festivals, like people are really like, wow, these guys can. I don't remember them being this good, but they were. So it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So today, last day of November 2023, what's next for you in 24?
Um, so for me, the past few years have been working on this. I want it. I'm going to say Halloween, but I don't mean Halloween. It's a dark theater production that we've been running in October. It's called One Dark Night, and we did a huge um, show this year, our biggest show yet, the biggest production, big video wall, big everything. And so now it looks like things are getting serious with it this year, and we're going to do multiple cities, a decent sized tour with it, and we've got some good label interest, and it's a ton is going on. So now, really, this stuff that for this October starts now. So I've already
Wow.
started ramping the show, tweaking the show, and getting that together. I'm going to be in Europe touring finally again in 24. We're going to be doing a month, 6 weeks. I'm coming back to China this year. So it's for me, it's been a little bit slow on the uptake getting back after the pandemic. A lot of my
Hmm.
stuff was overseas in Asia, throughout Asia, whether it's China or Singapore or Malaysia or whatever. Finally, it's coming back. So I'm excited about that. Yep.
And this tour that you've got going in Asia and Europe, this is going to be Neil Zaza music that
Yeah,
you're doing.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go back to One Dark Night, which I've, as I've been watching over the years, I've seen, and I've just always been curious about it. So tell me how it started and how it's evolved.
Great. So I was a guest soloist with the Akron Symphony, and we did. It was a few. It was in I think 16 or 17, and we did Dance Macabre, this chanson piece that it's a famous Gothic piece, right? And after I did it with the full orchestra, I was like, this could be pretty cool. This could be something like going out playing like gothic classical music, but let's rock it up.
Hmm.
So over the course of the last 5 6 years, it has transformed into different things now. So it started out. I did a record, One Dark Night, and it has all the heavy like the heavy metal classical riffs, like Romeo and Juliet by Prokofiev, or Dance Macabre, or Night on Bald Mountain, which is a heavy. I mean, this is the Godfather stuff of heavy metal, but for classical. And so we start out with a 60-piece orchestra, choir. It was a big production, and then as we've went through the years, I've been trying different elements. So we'll have we added ballet to that, which is it. It, it should never work, right? But it does work. It's like I
Wow.
always like to say, it's like peanut butter and chocolate. It shouldn't go together, but yeah, we love it,
It
right?
does.
So so the music now has transformed too. It's still based in Gothic classical music, but there's a lot of different mashups. So we do like Paint It Black, or we do some This Is Halloween by Danny Elfman. So it has
Hmm.
transformed into, you don't have to be a classical guitar nut to love it. It really is a celebration of the season, and there is a storyline, an arc in it that explores who is the real monster. Is it Frankenstein? Is it Dracula? Or if we look in the mirror, are we the real monster? So it really it ticks all the boxes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as the production part of these shows, is this your thing, or do you have someone else involved that's helping you produce it? How does that work?
Yeah. In concept, I run everything, but when I say that, I mean in a general way. So I have a we have a production team that does all the lighting and so like for instance our production team this year, it was Alice Cooper's lighting designer and set designer. So he came
Wow.
in and designed this multi-tiered set with stairs, and I had to have stairs because it reminds me of uh, the Kiss Destroyer tour. So they're like stairs and a second level. And Kiss
Yeah.
1976, man. So yeah, a production team. Uh, it's all broken out, but it kind of emanates from my little brain, and we, everyone does what they have to do. But yeah, it takes a village, I guess is would be my quote, and it's certainly for this show. On stage we had band is probably 9 people in the band, 3 singers. We had 10, 12 dancers. We have contortionists on stage.
Wow.
It's like it's a full sensory overload. It's something else. So,
And this has just been one night. I mean, you
yeah,
haven't
last
taken it
year,
on out on the road yet.
yeah, we did last year. We did Indianapolis. We did
Oh, okay.
Warren, Ohio. This year, we had some important people coming in. I'll just leave it at that. So we did one show for all the marbles. We brought in all the production that we could fit. In fact, the venue MGM Northfield had never had a set that big. In that set should not have fit in that venue. It was so big with the 2 tiers, the big video wall, the stairs. The it was we were cramped in there. So yeah, we did one. But this year in 24, we there's high anticipation we'll do many dates. So let's see.
And is there any talk of a pay-per-view live stream?
That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? All right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna write that down. Hey, good job.
And
No, it really,
yeah, well, the few little videos that I've seen out of it, it looks really exciting. Obviously, you've really taken it up a few notches. I mean, it really looks like a great production, and I'm looking
thank
forward
you.
to the next years on it. So, tell me about One Dark Night. I mean, One Silent Night. How
So
does
one silent night was something I've been doing for it's been decades now. It's about celebrating the holiday, but in a mashup sort of way. So, you know, I always love these creative mashups. So, is the song Baba O'Reilly by The Who, or is it Hark the Herald Angels Sing, or is it Dream On by Aerosmith, or is it What Child Is This, right? Or
wow, yeah.
is it Highway Star, or is it God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen? So um, I love finding like that thread between songs that you could flip the melody on it, and you're like, what is that Jesse's Girl over like,
Yeah.
so I'm doing that stuff. Yeah.
And you do that a little bit with in One Dark Night, but it's more. prevalent in the Silent Night show?
Yeah, we do it. We do it in dark. Um, we'll do. It's more classical mashup. So we'll do um,
Hmm.
dance. So one of our little medleys we'll do is Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, right?
Okay.
Into Dance Macabre, into She's So Heavy by the Beatles. So it just flows and like, all of a sudden you're playing a Beatles tune out of a classical piece. So it's pretty interesting, I think. And if I could just say one more thing about dark is it's funny. In America, Christmas is that's the big holiday, but Halloween, I never suspected that so many people not only love it but celebrate it. Like more and more, like every year, like people decorating their yards and
Wow.
dressing up, and like it's a pilgrimage or something now, So
Yeah, and it's funny. It's for me. It's I mean, when I was a kid, I did I got dressed up a little bit, but I'm just one of those guys that never got into that. But every
right.
year, I think maybe because I'm that guy, that every year I see it, I go, God, there is still people my age that are still really into it, and a lot. And I've noticed that too. It is definitely a big thing. And you do Frankenstein, Edgar Winter's Frankenstein in that as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We started adding some newer tunes this year, reworkings of them, and I realized like some of the tunes I missed because I was thinking more in the classical realm, right? But like
Hmm.
you got to Frankenstein, you got to do Godzilla, you've got to
Yeah.
do Paint It Black. Like we do zombie, we do this dark demented version of People Are Strange by the Doors, like so the
Hmm.
original is kind of snappy, but we do this real haunting version of it. So um it's been a blast. I can't wait to really get this on the road and have people really you got to experience it, you got to see it for sure. So
And you've been doing Frankenstein for a while in your set or on and off in it. Um,
well, you have a really good memory because I did it with Bobby Rock and Bill Dickens, the Buddha, and that used to burn the house down. And then I hadn't done it for a while, and I brought it back. I'm like, yeah, man, this is a great piece.
well, I'm
So
I'm in talks, and we're trying to figure out a time to talk to Edgar and on the show, and just do a heavy deep dive in Frankenstein and just talk about it start to finish on because every time I hear that song, I mean that is just one of the if not the most amazing instrumental rock song. There's so many things going on in that song, and he goes in so many different directions. It's just fabulous, and how it all evolved and everything is really quite a story. And how many people have done it? I mean, how many covers there's been of it is just incredible.
it's an iconic song, and it was called Frankenstein because they they pieced all the pieces
Yeah.
together, but all the pieces work perfectly
Oh
together.
yeah. Yeah.
It,
And a lot of times,
it's
I don't know, I would think in the studio you put something like that together and you go, oh, well, that doesn't really work. And they must have they, as they started doing that, went, oh, wow, this is going to work. And from what I understand, they had like two or three different, they used to go in and just jam that vibe, and they would have 20-minute pieces on tape with it. And that's what they Frankensteined it down. I'd like to hear those 20-minute, you know, pieces if they're still available, but I'm sure it wouldn't be like the same. But um,
I
um,
went back and watched some of the YouTube. I think when I did it with Bobby and the Buddha, I learned it, and then we hot rodded it up. Like I took the synth part and I did it on guitar and everything. But I really kind of was like a student of the song, so
hmm,
I watched all the old '70s, Solid Gold, or
right.
Midnight Girls, or all that stuff, and that band was smoking, smoking, smoking. Rick Derringer on guitar,
Oh
like
yeah.
they were unbelievable, and even down to he's I mean, I didn't know when I was a kid listening, but like he's playing sax, he's playing
Yeah,
keys and synthesizer, he's playing. I never
drums.
knew that
Yeah.
that drum break was him playing. So it's great.
Yeah, and he's been out with Ringo and his All Stars for many years, and I just saw them for the first time, and Greg Bissonette on drums, and they do when they and of course he does that song, and when they do that song, they do a little medley of other classic rock songs that they vamp in that drum
Right.
solo thing, and it's a trip. It's really good. So you're talking about China that I saw you mentioned online that you're going to be heading out that way.
Yeah, finally, um, it's been like the lockdown from China
Mm,
since the pandemic. But prior to the pandemic, I was in China. I was in China 2, 3 times a year for a
wow.
month to 6 weeks at a time. So I've over since I've been going to China since 2001. So I've been everywhere in China. It's like it was a second home for me, really. So it's been weird not going musically, fan wise, financially. It's been strange in every way. But so yeah, I'm excited to go back. It's such a fast moving culture there, though, right?
Hmm.
So, because things change so fast. So, like, I would go, I would wait 6 months, maybe to go back, and it would feel different. So I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like now. Um, but I'll say that every time I go there, the fans are so nice. I feel very safe. There's no it feels like the safest place ever when you're there, and
Yeah.
people are very welcoming. It's really they've treated me very well over the decades, actually.
And over that time when you go there, are you doing a combination of things? Are you doing clinics? You're doing shows? What are you doing when you're there, music
Good
wise?
question. It's all straight concerts. It's all straight concerts. I'll do theaters there, so maybe 2,000, 2,500 seat theaters, and just
Wow.
my own music,
Yeah.
and it's great. So the big song for me internationally is still "I'm All Right." So
Wow.
it's an experience for sure.
And as far as Europe goes, is that the same thing? I mean, how long have you been going there every year?
Europe, I've been going, wow, long, since 99, 2000, something like that. And I have a great band in Europe. So my band normally is my touring band is they're from Italy. So I'll fly to Italy. We'll rehearse a little bit, brush everything off. But they've been with me for 15 years. So
Same
we
guys.
same guys. So we
Wow.
we get along great, and so we brush it off for one rehearsal, and we go out and do it. So I know this summer's special because we're doing Poland, and there's every year it's called the Thanks Jimmy Festival in Warsaw, Poland, where they break the Guinness Book of World Records with uh, how many guitar players are playing "Hey Joe" or I forget what the song
Wow.
is. So we're headlining that festival. So
Wow.
it's going to be great. So we're doing Poland, Austria, Italy, Germany, Czech Republic. We do a lot of dates in the Czech Republic.
Hmm.
We always do Slovakia, Slovenia. It's always fantastic.
Well, one
And
thing I always remember is that poster, that photo. I'm sure there's been a few of them where you've got the little espresso maker and your little cup of coffee, and that there you go. So it's such a big part of the culture there, and I always
and
thought,
that's the band too. So I was never a coffee drinker, but then when you're in Italy, and you're with a bunch of Italians, have a
right,
coffee, have a not a coffee and it's espresso, right?
Right. A
And
cuppa.
then it's jet fuel, right?
Yeah.
It's really so like on the road, we bring our own little so like the mocha pot. They call it a mocha.
Hmm.
It's the coffee maker and a hot plate or an electric mocha. And then in the United States, I have a Pelican. It's the mocha, the coffee, the little cups. The
Right.
You got to be caffeinated. You got to be
Yeah.
caffeinated before you play. Always. So
It's a
yeah,
wonderful thing that coffee
yeah,
is.
exactly.
Uh, as far as your solo albums that you've done, I've seen in the seen where you have your own label. Are you still working on your own label, or are you having other people produce your albums?
No, it's a great question. I still do my own records, and then once they're done, I'll go out and license them and distribute
Hmm.
them myself. And like most guys now, I've my own studio. I can record as I need. Um, so yeah, it's I know we talk about Dark Knight and Silent Night and this and that, but my main focus has always been my own music.
Hmm.
It's not Christmas or this classical stuff. It's always been about writing good songs, writing melodic songs, writing songs that you don't have to be a guitar player to appreciate or
Hmm.
bond with, you know. And so I 2 years ago I released my latest album called Vermeer,
Right.
and that was a great record to make. Todd Sucherman from Styx played on the record,
Wow.
and I'm really proud of the record. I think the songs stand up. It's funny when you're young, like we were talking about earlier. You're going to Nam, you're like, I'm the hot guy. I'm the hot guy. Look at me. Look at me. Whoa, look at, But
Yeah.
as we settle in, like I realized, like I want to play songs. I want to play melodic things. I want people to be able to hum when I'm playing. It doesn't there's a million guys that can play fast, and I can still play fast, yes, but let's play some music. Let's not worry
Hmm.
about like the crazy, crazy. You'll get a little bit, you'll get some of that in the live show, but let's play some songs. And so that's
Hmm.
why every record I do, it feels like it's like exploring where's my head at now? What songs are waiting to come out? Not to sound esoteric or anything like that. Yeah, my goal is always my own music, writing my own stuff, and touring on that. That's what I want to do.
Well, we actually talked about that in '96 because uh, Sing is, I believe, your third album. I I think, and so all I had heard was the first couple albums, and obviously they were of the day, which I think I said back then. But that album seemed to be a transition for you. And one thing that I always appreciate with your music is, especially on Vermeer, I really like just the sound of the drums, and the rest of the instruments are really good. Do you bring a producer in? Do you bring somebody in else to mix? Is that something all you? How does
Good
that work?
question, and thank you for the kind words. Um, I to your point, it is about the song, and it is there was different as every artist goes through in the arc of their
Hmm.
career. The early stuff, I'm still working it out. I don't know who I am. I don't, it's I want to be, um, I want to be my influences, right? So of course, even on the first record, I have a song called "Climb the Alps," Tony McAlpine, or there's like you're imitating what you like, but then there's different eras. So then, "Sing" was the beginning of an era that was really kind of solidified with the next record, which was "Staring at the Sun," and that had Steve Smith and Ross Valerie and as the rhythm section from Journey, and that's when songs started to be written. So as I go through the songwriting, takes more and more precedent. Um, so as far as is I'll record everything myself. Um, I tried mixing Vermeer 35 times, and I lost all perspective of it. I had in progress mixes, and I'd mix it, and then I'd mix it again, and
Hmm.
I couldn't hear it anymore. So I took it to one of my longtime buddies that had done Sing and Staring at the Sun and Melodica, and Joe Veers, and he is in Columbus, Ohio, and he has a beautiful Neve 9098 out of Olympic Studios, and he mixed it, and it was the best decision I ever made because he had a fresh perspective, and he did
Hmm.
such a great job on it. So it sounds like a record. I don't want it. I don't want my record to sound like I put a drum loop, then it just sounds
Yeah.
like a demo. It should
Right.
sound like what would Journey put out back in the day. It should sound like a real record, like songs and stuff like that. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just read Getty Lee's biography that just came out, and he had a little section in there about mixing, and where he was oftentimes the last guy at the board, sitting there at the mix, and you know kept getting in the way of it. And finally, at one point, or in certain albums, where he just had to say, "Oh, I got to step away from this." They would mix it, they would come back to it the next day, and it would be all wrong because everything they heard was wrong. And it seems like he did the same thing, where he had to just step away and let somebody else take a listen to it, and then go from there. I think it's a healthy way for an artist to do, because they've spent, at that point, how much time have you spent with those songs, right?
Yeah,
Just
it's
amazing.
unbelievable. And for me, when it's mixing time, it's so funny because you would think the drum the guitar would be the most important thing for me. Oh, got to hear the guitar, got to hear the. But I'm always pushing the guitar, the leads down so it sounds like a cohesive a cohesive thing, not
Hmm.
just like the guitar is sitting on a bunch of backing tracks. So, like my concern always is how do the drums sound? Do the drums sound because you have drums are the most important thing in the whole world. You could have the best drummer with a crappy guitar player, and the guitar player sounds great. But you could have the best guitar player with a shitty drummer, and he sounds horrible. So it's always about the drums and the foundation of everything. So
Well, yeah, especially the drums, I think sound really good on Vermeer. How did you? What made you title the album Vermeer? A big fan? Why did you go with that? Very unique.
yeah, really good question. That's the question I wish more people would ask. That's a great question because people are like, first of all, what's a Vermeer? But
Right.
obviously, we know 1600s Dutch painter, right?
Yep.
So I saw a documentary on Vermeer. It's called Tim's Vermeer, and
Oh, I saw
it
that.
talks
Yeah.
about. You saw that?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great, and they try to explore well, for those that don't know, a Vermeer is highly, highly realistic. They don't know, they're not sure how he did it. If he did a camera obscura, I think they call it, with the mirror. There was some
Hmm.
trickery going on. There's some trickery that how he
Right.
matched the color so it looks like a photo. And so in this documentary, they um, they were talking about how he might have done this, right? So all his paintings are done in one room. They're all one room. It's the same room in all these paintings. So um, one room, no one knows how he did it. There's some kind of trickery going on. He At the time in his life, he was not a famous artist. He toiled in one room in obscurity, and he gave everything to his craft and his art. And years later, he was recognized. And so, in some way, I thought that sounds like me, right? Like
Right.
I'm not one of the big. I'm not the Vi Satriani level of player that everyone knows. I toil in. This is I have two places I've recorded, and this is one of them. I have all my stuff over here. toil and obscurity. Don't really know how I did it. Like everything may not be one take, you know. So
Right.
that it felt like a net like man, it's like he's an instrumental guitar player back in the 1600s. Like this is how he does it. So um, I just thought it would there was a parallel of things,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
So
that was cool. When I saw that as the title, I went, "Oh, that's super interesting." Um, so let's when you think back to 1996 when I interviewed you, um, what has surprised you the most in the direction that your career has taken? Maybe that you didn't think was going to happen back then.
um, I that's boy, it's such a good question. He- I would say um, I'm surprised how focused and unrelenting I have been over the years in what I do. You know, I think maybe back when you're a little bit younger in your early part of career, like this is fun. We're like rock stars. We're whatever that means, right?
Hmm.
Uh, there's a lot of superficiality, if that's even a word, about it all. But I think maybe what has surprised me is it, I've gotten more serious as the years go. As I get older, I get more serious. I'm
Hmm.
more in tune with the craft. I'm more in tune with composition. Like I've never wavered, right? Where a lot of guys they'll weed themselves out as they go, and you know they get a real job or they
Right.
they whatever they do now they sell insurance or whatever. I I'm too stupid to do that. So I, I I've been I've been dedicated, and my level of dedication has gotten it's gotten stronger. So I
Yeah.
think that's what would surprise me to talk to a younger me. It would be interesting to say you have no idea how intense this is going to get for you. This is this is more than a lifestyle. It is the life choice. It's the life's work. So that's a good
And
question.
maybe, yeah, maybe that's part of the issue with some of the musicians that end up not making it their career is they realize, wow, you know, I've got to put the pedal to the metal and keep it going all the time. It's not going
Right.
to just perpetuate on its own. So that's an
Well,
interesting
someone was telling me the other day that the
response.
quote was, "It's one thing to be a dreamer, but you have to be a doer."
Yeah.
So, you know, the world doesn't come up to your door and bang on your door because they need your new music. Like you have to
Right.
like put it out, or you have to, you know. And they say find something you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life. And
Right.
I
I
guess I've
love
never
that.
worked a day
I,
in my life.
I love that quote. Well, Neil, thanks for coming on the Instrumentals of Rock podcast. I really appreciate it. And
Mitch, you're a
we'll
legend.
try
Thank you so much.
to we'll try to get together maybe when you get back from China and find out how that went. So
Yeah, thank you so much. And listen, thanks for not just for me, but for all of us players, like keeping the faith and keeping this going. And like this is the work you're doing is very important. Like it perpetuates what we do. It keeps the culture alive. It really means a lot, and you're doing good work. So please keep it up.
well, thanks a lot. It's my pleasure.
You
I
got
love
it.
instrumental rock. Whenever a song comes on, and after about a minute or so, I'm going, okay, instrumental, nice. You know,
All right,
not
I
that I have
like it.
anything against vocals, but whenever you hear an instrumental, it's something special, and I've always liked that aspect of it. All
Awesome.
right,
Well,
man.
we
Thanks
need
a
you around.
lot.
You got it, man. Later.
Okay.